like you just kind of start to go through the day to day of it and forget like the opportunity of being a wrestler. It's like, damn, I gotta go to practice and do
Yeah.
this. When in reality, it's like, this is what you wanted. Like, this was 14-year-old you and sitting on YouTube watching highlight films for hours of D1 wrestlers. Like, this is your life. Yeah. And yeah, you thought it was going to be easy and not finding that now every day. It's like, dang, I'm so grateful that my life is to,
Welcome to Iron Summit, the podcast where we dive deep into the art and science of becoming your best self, blending expert insights on strength training, smart recovery, optimal nutrition, and mindset mastery to help you elevate your game. Iron Summit is brought to you by Bridge Athletic. Looking for a way to streamline your training programs and deliver exceptional results? Check out our friends at Bridge Athletic. Their platform is packed with over 300 templates and 1,500 instructional videos, courtesy of subject matter experts like Exos, FMS, and Hyperice, making program design both efficient and impactful. Our listeners can take advantage of an exclusive offer. For a limited time, get your first 30 days free and your next month at 50% off when you use code Iron Summit, all caps. That's code Iron Summit, no spaces, all caps, for 30 days free plus 50% off your second month at bridgeathletic.com. Check it out and start assigning custom programs directly to your athlete's mobile device.
All right, we're live. Today we got a special guest. Everyone's anticipating I'm going to actually mess this up, but Archie King Colgan, 11-0 right now in professional MMA fights. He's got 5 KOs, 1 submission. Future champ coming up. Got a fight in January 11th.
man, bad news
Big
about that one.
Huh? Bad news?
Bad news about that one, yeah.
No.
They moved my fight. Yeah, I'm not fighting in January.
All right, well, let me finish the intro and we'll talk about that. So we got a Big 12 champ. He went to the University of Wyoming. He was a state champ in Colorado for wrestling. And then also, most importantly, dad, 2 boys, and yeah, got a family that's always loved seeing all the videos on Instagram with your boys, meeting them at practice and stuff. They're definitely future wrestlers or fighters, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, my boys, hopefully they don't. Well, I guess not, hopefully not, but if they want to fight, they want to fight. But there's plenty of other things that they could ideally do with themselves.
Would
They
you
don't
would
gotta.
you not want them to fight?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't want them to because it's done well for me, and I'm proud and happy with where I'm at in life. So I can't say no, but like, I don't know. If it was to chase after what I'm doing, like they're their own people, they can grow to be
Yeah.
their own young men and hopefully go do something else that makes me proud and something else.
How
Yeah, I
old
think
are they?
that's cool.
My older one, Q, is 3, and then my younger one is like 1.5. Yeah, it's awesome.
I
Are
met
either of you
Q.
guys fathers?
I'm
Ooh.
about to be. Like,
Okay.
literally, we're like, the due date's December 10th, so it's like Groundhog's Day every day.
It's
You
like
remember those times?
Yeah,
You're
I
like, is
do.
it coming today? It's
Do you guys know the gender yet, or are you guys
a
waiting?
girl. It's a
Girl?
girl.
Nice.
Yep.
Congrats.
So I'm gonna be a girl dad. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm
That's
super pumped.
exciting. Yeah. The
Yeah,
first one's
for sure.
super exciting.
Yeah.
Then it's just
It's
not
wild.
as much after that.
I
Did you
feel
say you
bad, but
want? Did you say you want like 5 kids, Archie? That's cool.
You want
That's
4?
cool, man.
probably 4. Yeah, probably I want 4.
I
But
like it.
That's
sometimes I,
awesome.
I contemplate, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'm spending all the day with these boys. I'm like, I don't know, 2 might be good. I might be able to call it quits right here.
That's funny. So hey, what
No, they're
happened
fun.
with your fight? They moved your date.
Yeah, my manager just reached out yesterday and just said that they're moving it to the following card. They haven't released that date on it, so maybe it's February, maybe it's March. I don't know when, but yeah.
Well, silver lining, like you'll get to enjoy Christmas a little bit more, hopefully.
Yeah, I get to enjoy some holidays. It kind of works out. I've been dealing with some like little lingering injuries for a little bit. Uh, like you said, you got your eye poked. I was practicing on Sunday with these high school kids, and I can't train this week because I hurt my back.
With a high school kid?
Well, yeah. Hopefully none of them tune in on this, but yeah, my
Max
back is
backed
jacked.
Max backed into that corner, man.
Well,
For
yeah,
real.
this is just like this is a scratch. I'm not like actually hurt, but that sucks.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
like,
Yours is you can see it, Max. Like, you know?
That's cool though.
oh, you can see it.
This like
You guys are lucky I'm sitting down. If you saw me walking, you'd be like, "Damn, this guy, what happened to him?"
do you
That's
know what you did
funny.
to it?
No, it's just the problem. I've had it like similar feeling. I haven't gotten like diagnosed or anything, but it's like a pulled muscle is what it feels like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
like
sucks. Back
right in
stuff
the lower
sucks.
back by the by the glute.
Get
Yeah,
some dry
that's
needle
not
in or
fun.
something.
I did, yeah.
There you go. That stuff always feels good. I feel like my last year of college, I started getting a lot of low back stuff like that, and I don't know, pumping that dry needle felt good.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's a good
All
feeling.
right, Arch, so how'd you get into wrestling? Take us through like the start. Did your dad wrestle? Did you just like come upon the sport? How did it start with wrestling?
Yeah, so I got an older brother. He's like 2.5 years older than me. And he just came home one day with the flyer from like the local wrestling club, Westminster High School, wrestling, youth wrestling. And asked my dad if he could join. And my dad said, yeah. And just like all little brothers do, you just follow your big brother. I just followed suit and just like he's going around the practice. So I was like, oh, let me go. So I was 4 and he was probably like just turned 7 or about to turn 7 or something.
Nice. Did you have some
That's how
six?
you got started, right, Ryan?
I got there was like a flyer in the newspaper. My dad was like, "You got too much energy. Go do this." But
Yeah.
did you have success right away? Because I know it's so funny. Like some people real good right in the start, and some people it like takes a little while, and then they end up being really good at the end.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't think so. I started definitely finding success when I was like 10 and unders. 10 and under my fifth grade year was like 10 and under 74 pounds, something like that. It was my first time I placed at state. I got like third or fourth or something like that. Funny, my dad reminded me like my first ever wrestling match, I lost like 23-15. But he said we were just like rolling all over the place, just going crazy. But then like 2 years later, he said I got that kid back. So he remembers that. I don't remember any of that. But I would say no, I didn't find success until I was, yeah, like 10, 9 or 10 is when I started like considering myself a good wrestler.
At Iron Summit, we are about getting everything we can out of our workouts and everyday lives. If you aren't wearing a pair of barefoot or wide toe box trainers, you are leaving gains on the table. The Sashi Athletics Ronin Ichi Minimalist Trainer is a perfect barefoot shoe. Not only does it perform like other major brands on the market, it is actually good looking. Even my wife says so. Get a pair today for 10% off with the code IronSummit10. Link is in the bio.
I think sometimes that's a good path where like I don't know. You see the kids that are like 6 years old that go and win Tulsa, and then they burn out because all these kids kind of catch them. And I don't know. When you're young, you only do stuff that's like I don't know. When you're good at something, you continue to do it. And so like when you feel like you're good at something, then you feel like you're starting to slip compared to others. I saw a lot of younger wrestlers flame out because they were so good to start, and then they never made it to a high school, college level.
Yeah.
There's Kerry Colat said you only have 10 years basically of being like really elite at wrestling. So like pick which 10 years you want. And most guys that's like I think it kind of makes sense. Like most guys are like the really good guys are like 13 to 23. And that you have the rare breed of the Olympic guys that continue from there. But yeah, wrestling does burn you out. I feel like if you're training that hard at like 6 years old where you're winning Tulsa and stuff, you're usually pretty burnt by the time you're getting to the end of your high school career.
It's hard to like express that, we're all coaches now. It's hard to express that to some of these parents. When I first started coaching, I tried to express like why we weren't pushing their 8-year-old that hard and why you shouldn't push her, even if you leave us, like why you shouldn't like push your 8-year-old that hard. And they just like wouldn't understand. Like I tried to explain it like, imagine your wrestling career is a fuse, and the younger you light that fuse, the faster it's going to burn.
Mhm.
But if you can light it, when they're like 11, 12, and then it'll like, it won't burn as fast. So like if you want that fuse to last a long time, let's light it a little bit later when he kind of understands like what's going on. And some of the parents understood, and some of them are finding the success that we were talking about, like in high school now, and some of them don't. And kind of hard to say because they look at like some anomalies, like, I mean, you coach Cardenas, he's kind of an anomaly. He's been pushing hard his whole life. As long as I've known him, and when I was in high school at Pomona, like he was pushing hard, and he's, finding success at college, high school. So people look at guys like that and think that is like, that's the suit that they should follow when they don't have that kind of athlete at their hands. They
Yeah.
look at that special person.
I think it's like a
it's actually,
success bias. Like you see, like in China, they have like kids going from when they're like 5 years old into a gymnastics program or something. Like you see the ones that end up doing really well, but you don't see the hundreds that burn out doing the same track. So like really, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't think that's the right way to go for 99.9% of the population.
it's also like, I think it's super kid to kid dependent. Like I see this at Mile High when I coach. You have like, it'll be even brothers. We actually have like twin brothers. One of them is like that kid who's going to push. He wants to go hard. He loves it. He's like 7 years old. He never cries, balls to the wall the whole time, beating everyone up. And his brother is like the opposite. He gets taken down too hard. He's crying. He doesn't like, so I think you got to kind of like adjust a little bit kid to kid. Like one kid's going to respond really well to going hard, and the others like probably want to start him a little later, pushing him. And that kid could have all the same success as the twin brother, just like different personalities, different kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing to play with because some kids, yeah, like you're saying, like some kids just want to push, they want to do it. But also, like at the same time, you as the adult, you should understand when you're overdoing it. And like, even though they want to do it, it's like, nah, like you don't need to go run on Sunday morning when you're 10 years old. It's like
Right.
relax a little bit, go hang out with your friends.
Or cutting weight. That's the worst. You see 8-year-olds
That is the
cutting weight, and it's
worst.
like, come on, man. But Archie,
Cutting
so
weight the
what?
wrong way too.
When did you start like lighting that fuse? Like how when did you take it super seriously? Maybe cut out all other sports, or did you in high school, and be like, this is something where you became self motivated and pushed yourself? Because obviously, just knowing you personally, you're a really hard worker. You lit that fuse eventually. You got to at some point, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you had a healthy upbringing when you were younger, learning the
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah. So I would say that probably was like around 11. I lit it myself. I just did, like I said, I did good 10 and unders at state. I placed, was doing good. And then I jumped up to 12 and unders, but I was the 11-year-old, and early in the season, I'm wrestling these guys. And I used to have like a nice cow catcher when I was 10 that I had
Nice.
10 people with. And then I jumped up that next tournament, and then the cow catcher didn't work. And I was like sitting in the stands. I remember this moment. I was like sitting in the stand, just staring at the ground. My dad came up. It was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "My old moves just don't work anymore." And he was like, "Yeah, you got to get better." And I was like, "Yeah." And then from there, like that's like when it lit at me, and I started to work harder and asked my dad to take me to like some camps and outside clubs. Steve Knight used to do a thing out here. I was brought there a couple of times, and then shortly after that, Mile High started like popping up, and then I joined Mile High and started doing that. But yeah, about 11 is when I was like, man, like you just can't keep up with the same moves all the time and expect it to work.
Yeah. Yeah, and then obviously you went to Wyoming. What went into that decision? Why'd you decide Wyoming, and how was your experience out there?
Yeah, well, I wasn't like the biggest recruit coming out of high school. I had beaten some big guys in national tournaments and stuff and done well, but yeah, I only got the one state title. And I had I had offers to go D2, D3, um, a lot, and then I had like two or three offers for D1, and one was Iowa State, Northern Colorado, and Wyoming. And I didn't want to go to Northern Colorado because at the time they didn't really have a good program. And it wasn't like
Mhm.
there wasn't much security there because they had just got off of like the academic suspension, and it was just kind of weird. My grades weren't the best anyway. So, and then, looking over at Iowa State, Coach Jackson, he didn't want to like pay for a recruiting visit or anything. He said it was an official visit, but I had to buy my own plane ticket and all of that. And I was like, dang, this is kind of crazy. Then I went to Wyoming and had good time, and they had, good coaching staff, good team. They're doing pretty well. It was close to home. So I was like, there you go. I was like sold out on D1. I could have
Yeah.
gotten like full ride scholarship to go to Adams or something like that. But I was like sold out. Like I think I'm a D1 guy. I want to go D1. That was my dream. So, I took a much less scholarship, you know, gambled on myself again.
Heck yeah. One state title's all you need, Archie.
I know. I'm not at all against it, but when you're supposed to
I
get
know.
like
I'm
two or
kidding.
three, it's like, dang.
That's a problem with wrestling. It doesn't matter how good you do. Like, you always could have done better. It's like, oh, you won a state title? Why didn't you win two? Oh, you won two? Why didn't you win three? Oh, you won four? Well, why didn't you tech pin everybody? It's just, there's
Yeah.
always, I don't know. I think we do a bad job of, and it's kind of a double-edged sword where it makes you better because you're pushing and you have that mindset, but also you got to stop and like kind of be like proud of yourself a little bit too at moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, dude, Archie, I
For
think one of the
sure.
coolest things was I read this article on you talking about, you were in corporate sales and then you decided like, hey, you kind of fell into it with Justin Salas about training like
Yeah.
MMA, and you decided like to go all in on this. You kind of took really like a big leap of faith. And it was fun. We were like training at the time. I think when we're sitting in the sauna and you told me like, hey, I just quit my job. I'm going full in on this.
Yeah,
It's
I remember
pretty
that.
cool to like look back and see how full circle that went. But what made you have that itch and like be like, okay, this is something that I want to continue to do. This is something I want to dedicate my life to, because it's a tough job to get punched in the face, but
Yeah, it is.
obviously super rewarding, and obviously it's paid off really well for you.
Yeah. Good job, Brian. I don't know, man. Like at first, I had no ambition to continue. I was so like heartbroken over wrestling and the ending that I had. Like I never had a clear cut, like I'm retiring from wrestling, I'm done with wrestling. It was just like a subconscious thing that I just thought I was done, and then next thing you knew, it was like 6 months later, and I was back home with my parents. I was like, dang, like I'm really not wrestling again, and I just like moved on with my life, I guess. And when I started like training to fight, I had like a lot of downtime to think why I wasn't as successful in wrestling, why I didn't reach the goals that I wanted, like just why things didn't pan out the way that I thought they could have. So when I started fighting, like I started making those adjustments in my life, and it was really working out for me. Like I was finding a lot of success. People that were successful in the fighting world were like really giving me praise and saying like, man, you got a bright future. You got a bright future. At first I was like, this is just people in my corner trying to boost me up a little bit. And then eventually I'm like, dang, I am getting pretty good at this. So then, yeah, when it came time, push came to shove, I was just like, man, if I'm going to do this, let's do this. And, I talked to my wife and saw if that was something that she thought was doable for us. And, we were on the same page. So we ran with it.
What was the hardest discipline to pick up?
Kickboxing, like the actual, like kicking.
Yeah.
Boxing came pretty easy. Jiu-jitsu is like different, but grappling is grappling. It's just like if you're talking about just being a jiu-jitsu guy, like I don't think I'll ever get that just because it's so foreign to like,
Laying on your
laying
back.
down, yeah, letting somebody just lay between my legs, like while I'm on my back is just so foreign to me.
Yeah, that's like every alert system in your brain as a wrestler is going off at the same time. You're like,
Yeah.
this is not good.
Yeah, but like body mechanics wise, I think for me, I'm more of like a stiff guy anyways. So like the kicking and moving my hips like that for like kickboxing is just a little bit harder for me.
Gotcha. What were the changes that you said you talked about some changes that were you thought about reflecting on your career that you made for MMA? What were those big
Yeah,
changes that has ultimately led you to be super successful with MMA?
they're like almost all mental. Like there's some physical stuff too, obviously, like doing some extra work. when no one's watching, when your coach doesn't like make you do it. Just go
Yeah.
like that's why I put together like little home garage gyms, like just pop out there and just do my own little workout, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, who knows, you know? Those things are like obvious though. You're just doing extra work, but the biggest things was the mental side. Like I felt like in college when I was supposed to wrestle a tough wrestler, like I built that person up too much in my head that it should be a close match because I'm ranked number 10 and he's ranked number 11. It should be if he's number 8, so he should beat me. But man, if I can get this win, like, you know, this would be good for me. Like, instead of just being like, go out there and wrestle. If he beats you, he beats you. Like, yeah, everybody's a good wrestler, but instead, you start to build this. Well, I did at least. I started to like build these monsters out of guys and put myself in closer matches than I need to be when I should be dominating and not allowing myself to win the matches that I could be stealing, When you are the 10 guy wrestling 8 guy or, the 10 guy wrestling the 5 guy, you could steal that match. But, you play these people up and saying that they're better than not that they are because they are good people, good wrestlers and you got to respect their skills, but just not giving yourself the best chance, I guess. So,
Yeah.
like, I questioned myself a lot when I was wrestling. I was like, man, you can't do that. Like, why can people beat you? Are they stronger? No, I'm a strong guy, like fast, smart, work hard. Like, at the end of the day, it just comes down to most of the guys at the top, they just believe that they should win until you prove them wrong.
I love that. Yeah,
That's
that's
the
that's
truth.
awesome, man. That's a
Yeah.
that's such a great point. It's interesting too, like you see, especially nowadays, like there's like all these high school wrestlers that come into these open tournaments and they take out like a number 2, number 1 ranked college wrestler in the country. And it's
Crazy.
insane to think about. It's like to have that kind of mental maturity to not build somebody up like that, because it's a natural thing in any sport, you especially a one-on-one sport where somebody's got a lot of success and you're like, now you got to go, like, no matter how much you prepared, there's going to be some nerves there. But that's cool to flip that switch. Was that just something you came to on your own? Was that something through coaches, or how did you come to that realization? Because I think it's such a great point with the mental side of it. Because obviously you had all the skills, you're very gifted physically, you work hard, your approach to the sport was awesome, and then you just made one little switch.
Yeah. Well, like I said, between the end of the wrestling career and the start of the fighting career, I had a lot of downtime to like think about all of the wrongs and all the reasons why I was good and all the reasons why I didn't accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish. Like I was just able to think all those things through. Like, man, you were good at this, and it was because of these things. And you didn't reach like those are the hard conversations when you gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, man, you weren't all American because you didn't do this, this, and this. How many times a week did you stay off to do extra work? One? Well, that's not enough when somebody else is doing two over the course of 6 months, eventually. And yeah, obviously the biggest one was the mental side. Like I said, like if I knew that I was questioning myself, having second guesses when matches got tight, when people got good. And a lot of those times, probably eight or no, probably more like 7 out of 10 of those matches I win. But it's like a 3-2 hanging on, and it's like, man, I'm better than that. And I just didn't allow myself. I was like, if you're gonna do this again, at the end of your career, you don't want to feel this way again. You don't want to be all sad and heartbroken at yourself again. So if you're gonna do this, make sure you don't do that again. Like, don't allow yourself. You might lose. I don't know. It's a crazy sport, fighting especially. But at least go out knowing that you're not making them same mistakes. You made some actual growth.
That's I like this a lot because I think it shows the power of mindset. You obviously had a lot of success in wrestling, but your success in MMA has been like explosive. You kind of stormed onto the scene. You're undefeated thus far. And really the biggest shift you've made, you obviously were training hard when you were a wrestler. It wasn't the physical, like Ryan says, the mental. And it's just like that shift in mindset is what did it. It shows how powerful mindset is. It's like, it's such a powerful thing. What would you say to a young wrestler or someone getting MMA, like three mindset tips, three things you remind yourself, like put some like give us three things you would say mindset wise.
That's tough. Um, I think like the word consistency, and that applies to a lot of different things. But just reminding yourself consistency with everything. Like when you learn a new technique, whether it's wrestling or fighting, like if you want to get good at it, you like it, well, then be consistent with it and keep working that thing out. When you feel yourself feeling down or talking down to yourself, like questioning your abilities, be consistent with the things that picked you back up, like that made you feel like you could do those things. I think consistency, like it's gonna apply to so many different things, but thinking that word and allowing it to actually like take stronghold in your life means something. Um,
Well, I put you on the spot here with three
yeah,
things.
yeah, you're good, you're good. Second, let's say, your outside life matters. So maybe this is actually number one, honestly. But you put me on the spot. I'm just talking off the top of my head. But your outside life like really matters. And you see some of these fighters or wrestlers that have some sort of hard life outside of the practice room. And more so, relevant in like these fighters because you're a grown man. You're not underneath your parents' thumb, so you have your free will and you can do as you please. So some of these guys get with bad women and they're fighting a big fight before they even get to practice. They're really climbing uphill. Some of these guys are, their outside life is, they go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They have training on Friday and Saturday. It's like, man, just go get a beer on Saturday. Like, why does it have to be, back to back to back days? You're supposed to be a professional. So like the outside life is a big key. Um, and third is I didn't also find this until um coming into MMA, but it's like find gratitude in just where you're at. Like I think when I got to college, actually probably my whole life in wrestling, but as a kid it was just I was the young dumb kid just wrestling and having fun. But as I got older and things got harder, wrestling got harder, practice was harder, school was harder, life was harder. Like you just kind of start to go through the day to day of it and forget like the opportunity of being a wrestler. It's like, damn, I gotta go to practice. It's like, damn, I gotta do this. I gotta do
Yeah.
this. When in reality, it's like, this is what you wanted. Like, this was 14-year-old you and sitting on YouTube watching highlight films for hours of D1 wrestlers. Like, this is your life. Yeah. And you thought it was going to be easy and not finding that now every day. It's like, dang, I'm so grateful that my life is to train towards a goal that I set for myself and that's able to provide for my family and myself. And yeah, so I guess consistency, your outside life from the practice room, and gratitude.
Love
Love it.
that. Archie, I got one question just before, not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but would you consider yourself like a high risk taking personality type? Like, because when I think about fighting, well, when I think about your story, right? Like you had a stable job, stable career, and you're like, now I'm going to go try this new thing that, you have a wrestling background, but fighting's different than wrestling. And then I also think about, when I think about the biggest difference from MMA and wrestling, it's like, if I lose a wrestling match, like, yeah, it sucks, you're embarrassed, but like, cool, you got pinned or you get tagged, you're off the mat. Where it's like, in fighting, you're locked in a cage and it's like, okay, you're either knocked out or you walk out victorious. Like, the stakes are a lot higher, and you lean into that. So would you consider yourself like a high? Have you always been like a high risk person? You're cool with risks and you enjoy the extra risk.
No, I think I'm
That's
honestly
crazy.
like, yeah, it is kind of crazy to think about when you say it like that because it's true. But no, I would say I'm not a risk taker, man. I don't like to gamble. I don't like playing odds like that. Um, But I think my thought process behind it was that all the things that you just said, like how dangerous MMA is, it's similar. It's combat sport, it's one versus one, but how much more dangerous it is compared to wrestling. And I think that helped make my decision. Like, well, am I gonna expect, can I really, like, yeah, can you expect to be your best while working a desk job?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And I'm going out there to go train against somebody who maybe he's working a desk job, but also maybe he's training 4 hours a day and doesn't miss, and he gets his rest like he should because he's a professional athlete. You know, it's like the risk reward to me in that situation is like, man, you should probably step away from your job so you can take this serious because you don't want to be that guy who's getting knocked out, getting hurt, getting injured. So I would say I'm definitely not a risk taker. Like, duh. I'll take the
That's crazy.
but some people are, and it shows. Like, Gaethje, he's a risk taker. Like, he likes extreme adrenaline things. Like, yeah, he's yeah, I would say he is. But me, no, I'm not a risk taker.
But you say you're not a risk taker, but when you're getting ready for a fight, how did your mentality change before you're going onto the octagon?
Um, well, to be completely honest, it's just you just become like more selfish. Kind of sucks. It's kind of hard to do with, wife and kids, obviously, because, you got these little boys and they um want to be around dad as much. And they probably don't get the most extent of it because obviously I'm not, some deadbeat dad, but my wife definitely does. When the fight gets closer and the fight gets closer, more things get put upon her and to try to handle, and she wears that with, grace and does really well with it. But yeah, I guess you just have like a little mind switch and it's like subconscious, you don't really control it, but your body understands, what's coming up, what's coming closer, and it's just a weird feeling. Like, uh yeah, I don't know how to explain it. You just like get more selfish, you get more locked in, you get more irritated. Uh it's rough. It's fun. I love it. It's fun to know that side of you because everybody has it. If you guys were put in the same situation, you guys would have it too. It's fun to know like all the different sides of yourself. Like when you're cutting weight, some people don't know what that feels like. That what it's like to go without water for a day, actually, and to work out on top of that. Some people really don't know what that feels like, and it's cool to know all these different sides of you. So that's, though it's not my favorite side of myself, it is cool to know like, hey, like your body is capable of so many more things than like the standard person knows of themselves. Good and bad.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's true what you say, right? It's kind of like your personality does kind of develop and you have to almost lock in, right? You kind of almost become a, a different person, a different personality of yourself. One of my cousins is actually in the UFC. His name is Manuel Torres.
Uh-huh.
He's in the same weight division as you.
Okay.
And so he is like super crazy Mexican guy, like just crazy parties, like live the whole
Well,
lifestyle. And as soon as he starts getting ready for a fight, it's just like locked in. Like you just
yeah,
don't even recognize him anymore.
yeah,
And it definitely is kind of like you have to become a little bit selfish. That's true.
yeah. I think the hardest part about it, I don't think you like naturally just become selfish, but like throughout the time, you just like that person's name, whoever it is that you're about to fight, is always ringing in the back of your head.
Yeah.
So you'd be having dinner with your family, just trying to have a good time, and then you just think, "Bam, this person's name." You're like, man, he's training right now. So then you get thinking about yourself, man. What am I doing? What am I thinking about right
Yeah.
now? Why am I having dinner? This guy's probably training right now. I'm doing this. I'm about to go to bed. I'm going to my friend's birthday party, and this guy's training right now. He's probably doing the same thing, but that's what the mind starts to play those games. So then you're just like overly thinking about yourself, and then it probably just that's probably the science behind it. I don't know. I'm just making that up.
Def-
That's an interesting point, Archie. Like with wrestling, you don't always know your opponents. Like with a duel, sure, but like tournament, who knows? Stuff happens all the time. You don't know who you're going to wrestle next. You have, an extended period of time to train for an opponent. How does that look? How do you, like, obviously it's different per opponent, but just like general guidelines of how do you think about, watching film on a guy, preparing specifically for the guy you have coming up and getting those kind of training partners? Because it's hard to do something or emulate somebody if you don't have that style. And so like asking, Gaethje or Usman to fight like the guy you got fighting or the guy you're fighting is tough, but you're trying to put yourself in the best position with somebody just like them as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like, I don't know, like if I get 12 weeks notice, let's say of on a date, an opponent, then I spend like the first couple of weeks, um, just kind of getting into a decent like routine, back into like, real structured routine of this is what I'm training, this is what I'm training, this is what I'm training. And then I don't miss those training sessions. And then that, first 2 weeks is like that. And then, you know, I spend like 8 weeks of hard preparation. And I would say the first couple weeks of those 10 weeks, I just watch some film and get familiar with this person. Not like the point where I'm going to psych myself up, but just, do they lead with their left hand or the right hand? Are they, what kind of style do they fight a little bit? And then I stop watching film on. My coaches continue, but then I stop and I don't watch film on that person again until like 3 weeks out from the fight. And then I circle back and I watch a couple more on it just to like re-familiarize myself with it and make sure that, all right, like you were right. This is what you had been visualizing in your head. It is who they are. Because, over the course of 7 weeks, you start to forget. But, yeah, then I'll watch probably a couple more fights. And then, yeah, I don't watch them. I don't go stalk people's Instagram. I don't care about doing any of that. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Uh, Sometimes that plays against you, mind games anyways. But yeah, I watch some video and then I stop and then I watch some video again and then I just buckle down and get back to work. And then by the time we get out there to fight week, it's like, cool. I
Game
feel
time.
Totally
prepared.
agree
Like,
with that.
yeah,
I think like a lot of people make a mistake of trying too much to scout, and then you end up changing like how you prepare and how you fight or wrestle. Whereas like I did in wrestling, I did the same, like almost the exact same approach. I would watch a little bit to more. It was just like educational. Like,
yeah,
okay, that's what that guy does. But then I wouldn't think about it too much more. I just like, then it's in the back of your mind, kind of then when you get into the match or the fight, you're like, oh, I saw that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
ready
he
for that.
does
But
do that.
I'm not like changing what I did because I saw, like, I'm not like, yeah, over obsessing about it. So I think that's a cool approach. Totally agree
Yeah.
with it.
You see some guys like, and then like similar to that, like you're saying with them finding the partners and stuff. It's like I just kind of find partners who are similar style because it's going to be hard to like say, like if you were to fight me, but you had like taller guys in your gym that knew how to wrestle, you would just train with them and be like, all right, man, this guy like, he wrestles a little bit, so I'm going to train with these guys. But it's hard to find like that specific build to their style and everything. But if
Yep.
they like lead the same stance and they kind of have the same similar like striking background or wrestling background or grappling, I just find partners and then I'll be like, cool, I'll just train with them a little bit more. But I try not to like overanalyze it because, not every, if somebody was to be fighting me and you at the same time, our styles of wrestling are different. It's both wrestler, but,
Yeah,
if you were
that's
to be
fair.
like, all right, I'm going to trade for, Ryan's a wrestler, he shoots single leg, and then they go wrestle me, they're not ready for double leg, it doesn't,
Yeah.
it's like you're ready to wrestle, but it's different. So it's, yeah, you just got to be ready and just understand kind of what you're getting into, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Archie, what does your weight training look like maybe out of camp and then into camp? Obviously you're a jack dude. We like talking about weightlifting stuff on this.
How jack like you guys, damn.
Stop.
I'm on
Archie
swole. Look
Archie
at
is
you boys.
freaking Archie's stacked up, bro. He's got that stocky stacked build. But so like what do you do for that? How do you think about that? And like obviously you're in a sport where you gotta have you got a weight class, but you want to stay strong and you want to be able to move some mass, which if anybody's watched your fights, you're you're freaking explosive. You're slamming dudes, picking up over your head. What do you do?
So I do all my strength conditioning with Landau Performance.
Nice.
It's down in like Centennial.
Okay.
But yes, what we do is on Monday, it's a strength workout. And then Wednesdays is like just our cardio workout. So they run us through a conditioning. And that's all the strength like training I do. Sometimes I'll do like a light lift with myself in the garage, but like that's all the strength training I do really. And in camp versus out of camp, everything stays the same except for like the intensity. Like the cardio might pick up a little bit. But I think most of it's like self-doing. Like the workout like regimen might be the exact same, but because you have the fight, because you've like lit your own fire, the intensity changes a little bit. So you go a little bit harder. Instead of, benching, whatever weight, 200 pounds, you do 225 because you think you can, or, you always try to like push that little mark a little bit further, a little bit further.
So how does the nutrition look like for you when being in season versus off season? How do you manage do you have somebody that tells you what to eat specifically all the time, or is it more of having a specific sense of what you already know works for your body?
Yeah. So like when I'm in camp or, like approaching a camp, I have a nutritionist and, I hire him back on and then he sends me over my meals and like meal plans to get and stuff. And I stick with him and he kind of guides me through that. Yeah. Then out of camp, like I try my best to eat, pretty clean Monday through Friday. And then, Friday night through Sunday, it's like kind of whatever. But sometimes on a Wednesday night, my wife's like, hey, let's get something. And we'll go get something. But I try my best to not allow myself to eat like too crazy because, I'm a stocky guy and I can thicken up quick if I allow myself. But
What's
I
your
feel
like,
horrible when I do it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. What's your out of camp weight versus fighting weight?
So like right now, I'm like 182. Yesterday morning I was 182 and I fight 155. So it's a lot
So
different. It sounds a lot, but it's a lot different than fighting and then wrestling. Like the
yeah,
first,
because you
I don't know,
you just touch
4 weeks.
that weight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You only touch it for a couple hours and the first 10 pounds comes off with just diet. And then the next, 15 plus pounds is really done fight week and you're water loaded with 2 gallons of water. So, essentially you're on weight. You just got to work that 15 pounds off.
Do you wrestle for that, or how do you cut weight? Because I'm sure it's different than, in college you're used to cutting weight in a certain way.
Yeah,
Well, and do
it's
you do like
crazy.
a strict water cut? Are you doing like the full like sodium load and then depletion? Like take us through that water cut. I always
Yeah,
think
so
it's really
like
interesting.
I would say like the week before fight week, I'm drinking 2 gallons. So yeah, 2 weeks before, I'm drinking 2 gallons up until if I weigh in on Friday, I up until Monday. And then after Monday, I stop drinking 2 gallons. And then Tuesday, it's like a gallon and a half. And then Wednesday is like, I don't know, like a gallon. And then Thursday, I cut out drinking because I'm gonna weigh in on Thursday night or Friday morning. So I'll cut weight Thursday night. Like Thursday morning, after about noon, I won't drink any more water. But up until noon, I'd probably have like, I don't know, a bottle of water, nothing crazy.
Some sips.
And then from that point, I'm probably like 10 or 11 over. And then I literally do all my weight cuts now in the hot bath. So I like, you guys ever heard of sweet sweat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only I made 197 for 2 years. Like I think I personally funded Sweet Sweat.
So yeah, so I just lather myself up in sweet sweat and then I'll jump in a hot bath for probably 25 minutes on the first go and then jump out and then you jump in a sauna suit and then throw the towels on top of you. You lay there for 30 minutes, jump right back in the hot bath for 20 minutes, jump back out until probably another 30 minutes. And then that right there just pulls off like 8 pounds. And then I'll go to bed on that and I'll wake up and do the last like 2 in the morning.
Do you put Epsom salt in the bath?
No,
No salts. So I've
no.
heard that too.
Some people do that, but it's like kind of hard on your skin for one. It like can make your skin crack, and I don't need to pull all that. Maybe if I was more over, I would probably put Epsom salt, but no, I don't need
Yeah,
to pull all of that out.
it's crazy. This is like, I mean, for our general population audience, this is why when people are like, I want to lose 10 pounds, it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, you can lose 10 pounds in 24 hours.
Put it right back on.
It's
Though.
different than
That's it.
getting yeah.
Then people say that like, oh, how much you weigh right now? I'm like, oh, like 183. And you fight 155. Wow, I wish I could lose 25 pounds. Like, well, you
Different.
don't. You don't, because as soon as you put it on the weight, like you get all puffy and like it's not fun. It's not like you're just cutting weight. I only make it for freaking 30 minutes. So what about you guys though? You guys are all big swole bros. Tell me something about you guys.
with,
We're
with,
bored.
with cutting weight.
Tell me about you guys. Do you guys, so what is the premise of Iron Summit?
That's a good question.
There's several different premises. One is the podcast, obviously, and this is just for us to talk to interesting people like yourself, spread some knowledge about training, fitness, all that kind of stuff. Then we have Iron Summit Training, where we do some one-on-one coaching with people. We coach like a club team down in Texas, Tarleton State. That's all strength training based stuff. So we'll do strength conditioning programming. And then we also have a group training thing called the Iron Summit Gain Society, which is like, you can sign up at $79 a month right now. It's going up $99 December 1st. So get in there.
Get in now.
If you
Get in while you can.
want it at 79, and that's basically dudes 20 to 45 who want to get more jacked, put on muscle mass, something Ryan, Johnny, and I are pretty good at.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
that's what it's about. Basically, we're just meatheads.
How did the collab happen? Like, how'd you guys all?
It started with Ryan and I, like a year ago now. It came because
Actually,
Ryan was like, "Hey, why we need to like." He said something to me about like, you got to do a better job. Like, you could have a social media following. I was like, how about if you did it for me? But then that just turned into a podcast. And like I was like, Ryan, you also need to you need to put yourself out there more, post more lifting content, that kind of stuff. So we kind of were pushing each other to do that. We still do a terrible job at that.
it was kind of funny though, Archie. Actually, it started with you remember Elevation Fight Team in at a Muscle Farm headquarters?
Yeah, that's where we met. Yeah.
So in college or in high school, Leister was running the practices, and my buddy Matt knew Leister, and so Matt and I would go wrestle with those guys, twice a week. And there was like Dillashaw was training there, Matt Brown was training there, Drew
Curtis
Dover,
Blades,
Neil, Magny. Like there was quite a few like high level UFC guys. And then Max's dad, I actually met before Max, but he was Buck Wussel, just jacked dude wearing a shoulder brace, just the nicest guy. And so talking to him, and then one day Max shows up, he comes back from college, and I'm like, that's the biggest dude I've ever seen in my life, wrestling with the guys. And then we just kind of started to know each other. And then Johnny and Max, I think they went on a little movie date or something. It was like a cute romantic meetup. And then yeah, we just kind of all got together. So Johnny just got on, I don't know now, it's probably been 2 months since Johnny joined. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we brought Johnny is our non-wrestler. He's our just normal meathead. But Johnny runs a super successful training business. John, I'll let you introduce yourself. And we just thought have more of a general population, someone who understands training, join.
Yeah, so I actually am the owner and founder of Evolve Fitness. We do coaching from anywhere from general population up to advanced athletes. I coach a lot of people that do jiu-jitsu, MMA, some bodybuilders, soccer players. And so we kind of dove into that world. And then like Max said, or like Ryan said, I met Max through social media. And then Max trying to get me to come to his gym, and I kept ignoring him.
Yeah,
hard to get.
and I was
It's a
like,
real day
I,
thing here.
I was like, man,
It's
I
playing
want to
hard
go
to
down
get.
there, but I don't know. I was like, maybe one day. And
Just
he
playing
kept
hard
hitting
to
me up.
get.
He was like, just come. He was like, just come lift. And I was like, all right. So then I happened to go watch Dune 2 with my wife at the movies, and I happened to sit right next to Mac. And then I look over, and he looks at me, and he's like, hey, he's like, Johnny? And I was like, who the fuck is this? I was like, oh shit, that's that Max guy.
Do that
And
good in my DMs.
yeah,
Just sliding in
and
there.
I sliding in there,
That's
and
what I was talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, and then next thing you know, I think I showed up to Mountain Barbell, his gym, the following week on Monday, and then we hit a lift, and we're like, damn, we're like, all right, cool, like started training together. We were both prepping for a powerlifting meet, and then I unfortunately tore my hamstring, and then that led to Max's pec tearing like 2 weeks later.
Damn. Damn.
Had
Dang.
that thing
And
reattached.
yeah, and then so we put that on pause, but maybe we'll step on stage on like a bodybuilding or maybe a powerlifting stage together.
Arch, we'll have to go up to Vail. You'll have to check out, get a lift at Max's gym, and then we could stop by the Eagle Valley Mile High Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
I'd be down.
That'd
Especially,
be sweet.
when I'm not in a fight camp or something. I'd be down to check that out.
It'd be
For
sweet.
sure.
How long is
Um,
Vail's like 2.5 hours?
Like an
2
hour and a
hours
half.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depends on weather and that kind of stuff. This time of year is all over the place, but yeah, it's about 2 hours. Gym's sweet. It's like real hardcore bodybuilding / powerlifting type of gym. Just a real meathead gym.
You have to lift with your shirt off, otherwise you get kicked out.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Maybe,
real.
maybe I need to do it when I'm in camp then.
Archie, let's get back to like what's your weekly routine look like, man? Because like wrestling, it's so specific, right? It's like, okay, you wrestle every day, you got your conditioning and your strength training, but it's one thing. There's a million different disciplines in fighting. How do you decide how to divvy up your time, and play to your strengths, but also account for your weaknesses? Because like we talked about earlier, like kickboxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, striking, like how do you decide what you're training and how you keep that schedule in a fight camp?
Yeah, so like my typical schedule is I do strength training at 7:30 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. So Monday, Wednesdays are like my heavy training days. So I'll go from strength training to my grappling class, which is like a MMA, jiu-jitsu, grappling type class. And that's from 9:30 to 11. And then I'll go home, relax a little bit, and then I'll do like my striking work with Justin Salas, my head coach, and that'll be like 4 o'clock. And then, yeah, so on those days is like, back to back trainings, and that's a long day. So to follow that, I just train the once. On Tuesday, I just spar. And that's just, I mean, have you guys ever been to a sparring session and watch? I mean, it's like live wrestling, but you're like, doing it with fighting, and it's not as long, I guess. You just go in there and do a few rounds,
Nice.
kind of thing. And then Thursday is wrestling day. Ryan, come wrestle.
I'm trying to. I want to
Max,
come.
Max,
I
if
do.
you want to come down and wrestle, meet up on Grant. I'm not wrestling you personally.
The
You're a big,
problem
strong
is
man.
it's at 11 a.m. That's the one problem, Max. So
What if we're moving it to 10 though? What if that works?
I gotta talk to my boss, see if I could take lunch at 10 or something. But yeah, no, I need
Yeah,
to get in there.
it'd be fun to come down there.
Be a risk taker, you said. Come on.
Hey, Thursday, you doing it on Thanksgiving?
No, I would have, but I don't have a fight anymore. So
That's
I'm
fair.
gonna
That's fair.
let myself put on a couple LBs.
There
And
you
then
go.
Friday, another sparring day. And then sometimes I'll do something late, either on Tuesday or Thursday night before I go coach Mile High. And then Saturday we do in the summertime, spring summer, we do a run up at Red Rocks in the morning, and then we go over and do some footwork. And then outside of that, like right now, we're just doing footwork right now. But yeah, that's kind of the day. Then Sundays are always kind of a day off or
The
coaching
Lord's
out
Day.
again. Yeah, that's the Lord's Day. You relax a little bit.
There you go. Nice. That
I
sounds like a
like
busy.
I always like in this take, why do wrestlers make such elite MMA fighters?
It's a great question.
Um, well, obviously, like the discipline of wrestling, like being able to control and dictate where this happens. If you get hit hard, you can be like, "Whoa, let me get to the ground," or you can just take it to the ground right away. But you have a little bit of more control of what's going on in the fight because it's hard to take you down, and you can take people down. But more so than that is, I think that wrestlers understand like repetition, what repetition means. Like you're not going to get good at a jab by just doing the jab one time, 10 times, 100 times. Whenever coach is holding up the mitt, you're not going to get good at jabbing if you're just doing it when you're supposed to do it. So you learn something. And then, like I said, I put together a garage and I bought a heavy bag and I went out there and I was just doing repetitions of it. And I think I'm not some anomaly for that. I think that's just what wrestlers do. They learn a little bit of something, they find an attraction to whatever it is, and then they just bang out repetitions. And that consistency is just going to beat somebody who hasn't been doing it. And then you just, I don't know, maybe, no, I think most wrestlers, something about it. But I feel like you just almost get an obsessive personality when you grow, attraction to something that you like, you almost just get obsessive about it. So when you're obsessed about and obsessed and intrigued about fighting, and you have time on your hands to figure things out and resources, then you end up just blinking your eyes and you're spending hours when people aren't, and you're just thinking about it all the time. And I think you guys are probably obsessed with, the weightlifting and like that image of what that life is for you guys. It's just a personality that I feel like we built. And John, you're not a wrestler, but it sounds like you're obsessed with it too. Like you just find something and then you become a little obsessed about it and then you just do countless repetitions. And I think wrestlers do that better than anybody.
Heck yeah. I like that.
What about, how do you keep it? I mean, because I think one of the biggest things that tells me somebody's going to be a good wrestler is somebody that can just like do the mundane stuff over and over, just like what you're talking about, the consistency to like practice a jab, 20,000 times. How do you keep motivated with that? And how do you keep it fresh where you're invigorated and continue to do that? Well, let's be honest, like this stuff sucks sometimes. You're cutting weight, you feel like crap, your body's overtrained, you're not sleeping well, you're stressed about this. Like, how are you staying motivated when that happens? And yeah, how would you, I mean, obviously as a coach, how do you tell an athlete to stay motivated? How do you keep them motivated with that stuff?
Man, I think like on the athlete side, I just, I guess I'm just kind of aware that simple things are effective and simple things
I love
like
it.
are what wins matches and they are what wins fights. A jab is probably, if you guys decided never fought before or trained, decided to go to a kickboxing or a boxing gym, I'm sure that one of the first things that they're going to teach you is how to throw a jab. But that's also like the most important punch in a fight is, can somebody fight behind like a good jab? So like when you break things down, like like I teach these kids, like our youth kids, taught them pull single leg. And these little kids, they don't understand it. But I'm like, one of your coaches that you guys haven't even met won a national title off of being really, really good on being pull single leg. Like this simple thing is super effective. And like, it's hard to express that to kids though, because they see the sexy moves that get thrown around, or they get hit with the sexy move. You ever been hit with a super duck? Man, you want to learn it. If you did, it's like it's freaking hard. But it's like, man, those things don't. That's not. I'm still figuring it out on the coaching side of how to beat that over kids' heads, to being like, man, if you could just hit this single leg and this high C the same way that the setup that I'm teaching you, and you just do this every single day, man, I promise, like, you get to the state finals, nobody can stop you. Nobody would be able to stop you from doing it. It's hard to tell that to kids. But for me, it's like, I understand that you don't
Yeah.
need to do all these crazy things. Like, if you can keep it pretty simple, but get really good at those things, yeah. I think my coach
It's so
told me
true.
early, like, one of these sayings that he heard, like, don't fear the man who's done 10,000 kicks one time. Fear the guy who's done one kick 10,000 times.
Bruce Lee.
So it's just that. Oh, there you go. It's a Bruce Lee quote. Yeah,
I
I
think
knew
so.
that. I knew that. Yeah, but like,
That's
there you
awesome.
go. Like, simple like
There's the
that.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the answer. It is hard to impress upon kids, though. I have the same. They're like, "Wait, what? I want to learn the throws and these big moves," and you're like, "I can show you that stuff, but you want to win matches? Like, do this boring, simple stuff." And it's honestly, it's the same things in fitness and achieving the physique, like getting strong, achieving the physique you want. You don't get strong by doing like crazy, like all these super functional moves. You get strong by like putting weight on the bar and squatting with good technique and doing it full range of motion, right? Like it's the same thing. You want to be good at your job. You don't do it by like using all the big fancy words, and you just stick to the basics, get really good at the simple stuff. That's how you're going to be effective at most things in life.
Yeah, I bet it's getting probably harder now with, the fitness side and with, fitness influencers and stuff and people doing these weird workouts that, especially for women, but like these weird workouts that are like growing their butt and things that are doing like that. And like people are just getting attracted to
Why is that
things
what you
that
brought
aren't
up, Archie?
hard. Because
You familiar
I
with
don't
that
know.
one?
Okay, why? No, I'm playing, but like I don't know what I guess the man's version of like what all men are obsessed with growing up right now. But I know that women are all like obsessed with growing their butt right now. I don't know what the man's
Keto,
version.
Liver
Their chest,
King.
like their
Like, I
chest.
don't
Well, no, it's true though. You're dead on. Or like even with diets, it's
functional
like these
patterns.
fad diets. Yeah, functional
Yeah,
patterns or fat like carnivore diet. It's like no, you want to get lean. There's no like you just eat healthy and less than you did before,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
And
you
you got to do the
stick to the
things that
basics.
aren't
Yeah,
sexy. Like you got to go bench press, bro. If you want to get a big chest, go bench press. If you
yeah,
want your legs to be strong, go hit the squats. Like you don't need to be doing all these crazy, weird lunges that you saw some Instagram guy do. Go under the squat bar, and it might not be much, but start where you start.
yeah, and
That's
perfect that. Yeah,
That's a good point too. Like I think there's so many more resources now with the internet, but there's so much more noise you got to weed through. Like I think just quite honestly, all of our like everyone's attention span is so bad now because of social media and scrolling through Reels or TikTok, and it's like you got to lock in for a long period of time and you'll figure it out. But everybody wants like the results now, and yeah, I don't know. They're looking for the secret pill, the secret diet, the secret workout. And it's like, do the basics really hard for a long time. Um, but Archie, one last thing I want to touch on, man, you talk a lot and you give your wife a lot of credit. You talk about your family a lot. Can you just touch on like how important the family support side of this is? Because like you said, man, it's like an all in thing. You got to have everybody's support. And it sounds like your wife does an awesome job leaning into you and supporting you. And I know you do the same for her, but just like, what do you got, Max?
well, I want to throw in. This is a selfish question,
Okay.
Archie, but yeah, I'm about to be a dad. Like on top of that, like how does your family support system play in, and how do you continue being a great dad and a good person while like still pursuing your selfish interests? So that's something I'm thinking. Like I have my selfish interest, but I'm about to have my daughter. So like how do you tie that into like still pursuing for you being great while being a great dad and giving to your family?
Yeah. Well, I think to answer yours, I guess first, Max, is like I think that um once your daughter will be in your hands, like once your kid's there, like things do really change. Like probably like on a scientific level, like you actually do change. You feel different. Like you view the world different, and you view um the things that you are passionate about different. Like you'll probably either find out really quick if it's bullshit that you like it or not. You'll be like, damn, do I really love this? And it'll probably come to you pretty quick. And the things that don't really mean that much to you will just eventually weed themselves out and be like, dang, I haven't done that in a long time. And then the things that do mean something to you, you'll find yourself just kind of naturally doing them more because you'll want your daughter to see that you do that. You'll find more passion on why it is that you like weightlifting so much, and the other, guilty selfish pleasures that you have, but you'll find out why you like them or dislike them really quick. I think that just naturally comes. Like, I'm sure you want your daughter to grow up to be a strong, healthy woman. And it's she to like best suit her to do that, she's probably got to see what a strong, healthy lifestyle looks like. And you lead it, so that holds more accountability to you to want to continue to do that. You know?
Also, Max, the fact that you asked that question, you're gonna be a great dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come
You're
on.
gonna be a great dad. Don't question that. You're gonna be a great dad. But yeah, obviously there's like real pressures that do come with being a parent. Something that you literally have never done before. And until you're doing it, it's like, man, I remember like a month after my son was born, Q, the first one. Like I showered and I walked into our room and he was laying on my bed. I was like, oh dang, he's still here. He's not going anywhere. Like this guy's here forever. I was like, oh dang, he's not leaving. This is actually my kid.
This wasn't a dream.
No, like I don't know. I think that you're like consciously aware of yourself. That in itself is gonna make you a great father. But you wanting to do all the things that you either like or you think you like now, like it'll weed itself into the things that actually matter to you. But then I think you'll probably just end up being more passionate about what it is that you do because you have a newfound why on why life is the way that it is in front of you. It's weird.
I like
but,
that.
But in like a
Yeah, I
couple of
know.
months, few months, you'll be like,
I
damn.
like asking it. I like asking it because I love that answer. But it's also like I won't be able to know that feeling until I know that feeling. Like it's just there's no way for me to prepare for that. I just gotta experience it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's like, I mean, you could talk to 20 different men, all parents. They'll probably tell you a ballpark of the same sort of stuff. But you'll never fully know until that kid's in your hands and you're sitting in the dark at 3 a.m. staring in the like, yeah, he's still crying, huh? He's still going. Shit, all right.
Oh, I love it.
But even in that, you find the love. But to circle back to yours, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good way to circle to Ryan's question because, like, in order for you to pursue what you are passionate about, you need that amazing support system, which is like your wife and your family.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think it's as selfish as I could want to look at it and think, man, I did this, like, this is me. I am successful. I am the 11-0. Like, it's not. I'm just the puppet in front of. It is me, but there's so many people that back behind me that help me be that person, that make me be that person. And, at probably the forefront of that is my wife and my coach. But, let's put my wife first. Like, she's keeping my home life in check and in good, standing condition. I got 2 kids. That's a hard task to do when you got to wake up at, I got to train at 6:30, so I got to be up at 6 because it's a 45-minute drive down to Centennial. So all those long nights when the boys aren't having a good time, she understands, what it is that we're playing this role together. So, she takes the bullet on most of those. So I can get my sleep, so that I can train hard, so that I can provide for us and do well for us. So she sacrifices in different ways, but as much, if not more than I do. My wife is like, she's a rock star, man. She does really well. Being a first-time parent just as she does way better than I do. Like, she understands what she's doing as a parent, and I wouldn't be the dad I am without her being the mother that she is. And I wouldn't be the fighter that I am without her being the wife that she is, because yeah, she holds it down, and she keeps me uh grounded. And when I feel bad or down on myself, questioning myself on my goals or whatever it may be, she gives me a quick slap and says, you're the man. Like, look at you. Look at you doing. You're the man. So this ship would not be afloat without my wife. Yeah, she's the best.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
That's such a great way to end it. Archie, any last shout out your socials? How do people find you? And then do you know for sure the fight date, or we just got to stay tuned and check the Instagram?
Yeah, we're gonna have to just follow along, and I have no idea. I would imagine probably like before March, but I have no idea exactly when that's gonna happen. And yeah, if you guys want to follow the journey, it's just King_Colgan.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
Archie, you're
Thank
the man,
you.
dude. I love it. You lead by example with coaching. You're doing great things. We're pumped to follow along. Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
My guys, appreciate you guys.